I find that some people like to control everything in their lives.
Start listening to what your mind is telling you. Step back and observe and see what's happening.
I watch people a lot.
We're like in this big soup. We're all interconnected with nature. We're part of it.
And then there are others whose lives seem to flow in the most organic ways.
You become stronger. You become empowered.
They're led exactly where they're meant to be.
It's really listening and taking that time to just be.
They hold dreams and visions, and then they watch those unfold.
Welcome. You have entered the realm of 1111 Talk Radio. Your host is Simran. It's time to discover your own language with the universe. Empower yourself, broaden your mind, open your heart, and discover who you are. Now, here's your host, Simran.
I find that life always leads us exactly to individuals that we are meant to meet. These relationships bring forth an exchange where each person is the teacher, and perhaps each one is also the student. But either way, a soul friendship unfolds, and there's a connection, a knowing, an understanding that occurs that's beyond words. There's a level of seeing and being with one another in the unspoken, perhaps through experiences that each other knows, and through the many emotional levels, mental levels, and spiritual expansions that had to occur to continue to grow and find our ways forward. Many years ago on the Rebel Road, I met an incredible woman. Her name is Deborah Beauvais, and she's the founder of the Dreamvisions 7 radio network, a global holistic Boston-based syndicated internet radio station created in 2007 with a vision to consciously serve humanity. She's an intuitive, a healer, a reconnective healing and the Reconnection practitioner. Deborah has enjoyed interviewing hundreds of guests on her Love by Intuition show since 2004. And she also created the Kids for Love project and published her first children's book, The Paper Doll Kids, with the Kids for Love song. What I find most fascinating about this beautiful woman is that her life has been an organic unfolding. She never intended to be the founder and owner of a radio network, but yet she was led there. And the lives that she has touched, the co-creation and collaboration that she has launched, and the individuals that she has supported in creating their own sparks and threads out into the universe is powerful. I want you to get to know her and to get to know her story. Welcome, Deborah, to 1111 Talk Radio.
Thank you, Simran, for having me and all your glorious words. Thank you.
I am delighted to be part of the Dreamvisions 7 radio network family, to have connected so many years ago. There are so many people that are trying to control their lives, trying to control the directions in which they are moving, or trying to maintain a level of control in a world that seems like it is going off the rails at times. Have you always been someone that trusted life and allowed the organic unfolding?
I have to chuckle a little bit because, yes, I was always one for being in control, especially when I became a single mom and having to create everything from there. I was very much a controller, and I'm a Virgo as well, so that kind of comes with it. So I have learned through the years how to step back and observe and see what's happening and then act from that place. But I have to say, just as we are in the human condition, you have to remind yourself at times.
Share a bit of your story and how you ended up here. The stewardship of such a beautiful network that is not only terrestrial but also online and continues to grow with some masterful teachers and hosts that are bringing their gifts into the world as well.
We have different positions, different jobs that we take on. Initially, I was a hairstylist, and that was my career in mind. And then after the kids were all born, I got into Tupperware, which kind of someone might think, oh, it's just parties, but it was a career, and I ended up being successful as a manager, ended up with a consistent new car, and everything was going just well. And then my husband passed. He was killed in an accident. It was the most, and is always the most devastating experience that you can imagine. And coming from a tumultuous childhood, and then my first marriage for a few years was domestic violence. So when I had my wonderful husband, I was just in awe and elated and grateful and all of that to have this man. The connection that we had, it was unbelievable. Other people would say, oh my gosh, what a relationship you have. And I've been told that people have stayed married because of our relationship back in the day. Now I am alone with the three girls. They were 12 to 16 and a half, and I had to do something. As successful as I was as a manager in Tupperware, this is one of the things that I think many people go through with deep grief. I became so close to a lot of the people in Tupperware and the women and men that would have parties and different things and became part of my team that I couldn't look at them. I didn't want to see them. So I stopped Tupperware. And now I had to look for a position. So I got into banking, I got into sales. I was very successful with sales in the healthcare arena. And yet it wasn't truly me. I was in sales for probably 15 years. And then one of my daughters said, you should be a matchmaker. And I was like, you know what, that resonates with me. So I did that for a few years. And that actually brought me to radio. I was called by a Providence station to have a show, and I started a show all about matchmaking. And it was there that I was enjoying myself. Was I bringing in an income that would balance everything? No, but I was enjoying myself. Then someone at the station, and it's exactly as I say, said, gee, you should have your own network. And for some reason, that just lit a light within me. But then I was, oh my gosh, I can't do that. We were brought up where it was tumultuous, so we didn't have value for ourselves. We had no one saying, you're doing a great job, this and that. 90% of the population of women feel the same way, and how it created, who knows? What's the foundation where it came from? It could be from a teacher, the childhood, your mom. Someone said something, and then you started to have less value for yourself. So that was the common denominators. And that fed into when that gentleman said you should have your own radio network. That came in, and then the fear of actually doing it, how you would do it, I had no clue. But because of that innate combination, and that is so powerful, most of us don't realize the power that holds within you when it's a combination of fear and excitement, and you notice it. Do you do something about it, or do you back away and forget about it? And I was the type of person that said, you know what? I am going to do this. So I initially started calling holistic type of people. I knew I wanted to have a holistic network. We bought out ours and sold those as part of our team, and that's how the network started. 18 years later, here we are. We've been giving out unity vibrations, helping people have better lives, teaching people how to go within, find out who they are, live their authentic life in glee, and have better relationships with their partners, with their children. We have about 35 hosts. Everyone comes from a place of love. They are everything from teaching you how to listen to your heart, listen to your thoughts. What is driving your life? Is it your thoughts, your mind telling you you can't do it? Or are you listening to your heart? Do you realize you have a higher self? Do you realize you have guides and angels right there with you? All you have to do is tune in. There's such a power in each person that comes to us. And a lot of times people will say they can feel the love. It's a tangible feeling. So that certainly excites me. That gives you an idea of how it all started.
It's such an inspiring story, and there's so much in there, Deborah, that I would love to unpack because I think that there are individuals out there that might be in these tight spots, might be in their own constriction, in certain thought forms that are keeping them stuck, or individuals that might be feeling that level of both fear and excitement, but haven't decided to take the leap. Let's go back to that first marriage, being in a situation that was abusive, finding the strength to leave that, how you gained the awareness that it was time to go, the mental strength and physical wherewithal to say, this is not okay, and I'm going to go be on my own. What did you do emotionally to help you move past that area of your life?
There was a lot to it, but we are all brave and we all have that innate strength. All we have to do is call upon it. My mom had left us, my sister and I. The two of us stayed with my dad. So the two of us started dating early when we were 14, 15. They were relationships that we craved, that we needed and wanted because of the love that was missing. And it was different back then. You know, people dated each other or hung around. It isn't like today. He was abusive even in dating, but because of the childhood, I felt that it was similar to what I was used to. Only this part was more physical versus emotional. And so we got married. I was only 19 when we got married. And it just escalated. It's a classic. If you read about domestic violence, it's a classic situation. The person that is being abusive usually comes from an abusive childhood themselves. They're a narcissistic type of individual, and they need that control and power in their own minds. This went on and I accepted it, but then I became pregnant. And I thought that everything in my, naive way of thinking, that everything would be fine now, but it was not. So I was pregnant and I was actually in the shower and he came in and hit me. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, it is not going to change. I had to do something. The biggest piece of it all was because of our childhood and that experience, I knew that no one was going to harm my child. No one. And I was so strong in that mindset that I had to get out and save my child, who wasn't even born yet. So I started to make a plan. A hairstylist at that time, so I was doing odds and ends, doing wigs, things like that. I was doing all these pieces of things to grab $20 here, there. When I had my child, I was at the hospital myself. I had my daughter. 6 weeks later, I ran away. I did not have a place to stay. I had saved 100 and a friend gave me another 100. So I had $200. My stepmother was the one that came in and drove me around to see if I could get an apartment. It was 50 years ago. And back then, They would not allow a single mom with a child to have an apartment. We drove around everywhere for a few days. We found a woman who had a couple of apartment houses, and she had single moms with kids. The deepest piece of it was that I wanted to protect my child. I could take the abuse, but my child was not going to live that kind of life. When I think back of running away, not having a place to go, it's insanity.
That takes such courage, Deborah. The whole experience takes such an inner strength and a courage to be able to make those types of choices, particularly
Yes,
at that age. Yet that child within you was the sense of purpose. If there is someone that is, whether they're stuck in a situation that's not healthy or whether they're just simply stuck, that there has to be something maybe other than oneself that is more important, that is the thing that pulls you forward to find the strength and the courage.
absolutely. I was someone who believed in God, but I believed it was a man up in the sky. I didn't have a foundation, a belief system in one thing or another. But when I think back, I was 21. I was not alone. It wasn't the light that I feel today, but I know I was not alone. And I had direction, I had guidance in everything that I did. Or if I did not, if you think of it from this perspective, if you don't have that guidance, you would just be floating around doing nothing and spinning wheels. Each person has that innate guidance also from the light, from God, Jesus, what your belief system is, but it's there for you. And if you pay attention to it, it's more available.
I don't know if you are aware, but hair metaphysically has to do with consciousness. And when individuals get their hair cut, what they're doing is cutting away old consciousness. So I find it fascinating that you worked with hair and that you ended up being the steward of a network that very much has to do with higher consciousness and serving the world. Did you already have a proclivity towards higher consciousness, or was that something that showed up later?
It actually showed up later. I was in tune with things that were happening that may be of not the earth, but something higher. And I've always believed there is a higher guidance, but I wasn't awakened as I am in these last, say, 20 years.
How did you center yourself? How did you ground? How did you maintain the faith during those stressful and trying times?
The quick answer is I was in a survival mode at that particular time. I was in fear. He found out where we were. There was a lot of fear that he was going to come and get us. My daughter was just weeks old, but there was a lot of emotional stress that I went through in fear that we would be found. His father was very aggressive and the violent person in my first husband's lifetime. Back at that time, went on assistance for 6 months. My goal was to get off the assistance, but I had no choice. We had to eat. I don't share this that often, but I ate cereal because it was less expensive back then so that she could be fed properly. So everything was around that survival. And that's where I was for quite some time.
All of us have our human story and our challenges, our stresses, even our traumas that we go through. And so often those are the things that we keep tucked deep inside. I know that there are many pieces and parts that I keep tucked very deep inside. And we never share them, much less open up to learn how to be receptive until we're kind of forced to. When we look at what we call the law of attraction and how we open ourselves up to something better, for you to then transition from where you were to ending up in a relationship that was a beautiful, loving, kind, generous relationship, there had to have been a shift in consciousness. There had to have been something within you that finally opened up to be able to draw in what was very different than your childhood or previous experience.
When I think back and where I was in that place, it was just a yearning to have a relationship where the kids had a mom and dad that loved them. The purpose of my being here on earth this time is all about love. Love for self, which has been a journey throughout my entire life, and teaching others on how to see value in themselves just as they are. That was the key that I had back then.
Deborah Beauvais, founder of the Dreamvisions 7 radio network, a global holistic Boston-based syndicated internet radio station, dreamvisions7radio.com, with a vision to consciously serve humanity. Explore the different shows, the opportunities that are there for you. If you've been considering your own radio show for a while, and contact Deborah Beauvais, dreamvisions7radio.com. Receive the 1111 Collective on Substack. Click the link in the bio description below and join us. Become an annual subscriber or a Master Founder member and start to also receive 1111 Magazine on audio. It is an honor and a privilege to have you there. We'll be right back after these messages.
Simran is an award-winning author, publisher of 1111 Magazine, powerful speaker of wisdom, and a life mentor. Find out more at IamSimran.com. Now, back to 1111 Talk Radio.
Do join my Substack. My publication is Beyond the Illusion, and you can find it at IamSimran1111.substack.com. That link is in the bio description. You'll actually receive all of the 1111 magazine issues on audio as part of that, in addition to the weekly prompt, inquiry, contemplation, and meditation that I provide to all of the subscribers on the annual membership. Deborah Beauvais, the wisdom keeper and the matriarch of this global holistic Boston-based syndicated internet radio station that was created in 2007. Deborah hosts her own show, Love by Intuition. She also created the Kids for Love project, and she has a children's book, The Paper Doll Kids, with the Kids for Love song. And if you've always wondered about hosting your own radio show, look up the Spring Host Extravaganza. This contest is definitely for you. I invite you to go to dreamvisions7radio.com and spend some time.
The purpose of my being here on earth this time is all about love. Love for self, which has been a journey throughout my entire life, and teaching others on how to see value in themselves just as they are. That was the key that I had back then. I had this vision with two parents that loved each other and loved the children. And that was probably the consciousness that I came with. I actually met my second husband when I was young. I had the most profound experience just meeting him. And I knew that there was something that was out of this world when we met. But off I went onto my life. He is the person that came into my life to see if he could help assist on my journey.
That sounds very much like a soulmate relationship, very much like souls that come together, float apart, and then come back together at the correct time where they can be there for one another. And that's so beautiful. Opening up your heart at that time and being receptive and believing that something else was possible had to expand you in a lot of ways. You said earlier the purpose of your child pulled you forward to have the gumption and the wherewithal to fight the hardest fights at that time. And then the second step was the vision that you kept holding of two parents loving their children to pull you forward. That is that beautiful recipe of creation that ultimately becomes higher consciousness. And you intuitively knew that, even though you didn't know that. And I think that's what I find fascinating about human beings. Oftentimes we have no clue what we're doing, at least I don't. Somehow we're always led to the right place anyway. So there has to be some level of inner sense or intuitiveness, those connecting dots and synchronicities and moments that really feel like that ping of, yes, this is the direction to go. Did you find that your life held a series of those moments that would somehow be the inkling of now this direction, or now this direction, or now this person is the one I'm supposed to talk to?
Oh, absolutely. I believe everything that we experience from childhood on is an opportunity to grow our souls. We may not realize it at that time, but that innocence that we carry, and especially when we're younger, because I feel as though we're more connected to the light and God when we're younger, and then we have to come full circle to get back to that and let it unfold in a larger way. That innocence is really something special. And even though you may not be completely conscious of what is happening, I believe that every path, even the heavy, ugly ones, the most destructive ones, if you choose that path, because I believe there's so many paths to choose that are offered to us, and one may be brighter in our choice, or one might be stronger for another term to use, so that we may start on that path. I knew when I married my first person that it was dangerous. I knew that. I could feel it. I knew it in every part of me, but I made the choice of going forward. Yet what I've learned from there has taken me to a place to help others choose a different path. Everything that we do, whether it's in the work world, relationship world, family world, everything that we experience has a message, has something that we can hold on to and apply to the next path, the next experience that we choose to go down. That's the cycle of life. The deepest part is what we choose to do with the information that we absorb. Are we feeding the positive? Are we feeding love consciousness? Or are we falling back into the lower energies and feeding everything that's going on even today? Which do we want to feed?
When do we say, no, I'm not going to look in that direction because that's negative. I'm going to stay focused over here, versus knowing I need to look in that direction in order to clear out what I'm holding so that I can create a clear path over here?
I think it goes back to connecting with ourselves in the sense of going within. Start listening to what your mind is telling you. These thoughts can control our lives, can control our day. The largest surprise to many people is when they stop and start listening to what their thoughts are saying. We all hold hate, guilt, and all the different things that we are looking at through our eyes in other people. Many of us are holding that about ourselves and others. And so that's where you begin to find out, what are you telling yourself? Once you're there and you're listening you want to change that because we don't want to be unhappy. We don't want to be in wars. Hating is not who we are. Our souls are love. We might be tapping into other things, such as our ego in our minds, that does not feed love. We should embrace the ego and learn how to navigate it. But we are love. We come to earth to grow our souls and advance. And in order to do that, we have to go through these experiences, highs and lows. Once you know what's happening in your mind and what your thoughts are creating, now you are in the power to change that, if you choose to. Once you experience the lighter, then you want to feel more of that. I usually teach others is to start in the mind, because if you don't know your authentic true being, and you're not living your truth because you don't even know your truth.
Your real path, which I think is all of our paths, is that self-love journey. Complete self-acceptance, self-forgiveness, and self-love, to remain open and not guarded or hardened by some of the experiences of life.
They're there for us to learn. They're gifts, however heavy it is, even with the loss of my husband. I mean, he is eternal. Everything that we experienced, myself and the girls, all of that is a gift that he really gave to us by transitioning on the other side.
You are no stranger to grief. That is one of the most spiritual and profound experiences I've ever had, is to hold grief and to allow it to pass through. Speak
Yeah.
a little bit about your experience through the portals of grief and what you gained from that, what you learned, how you were able to see the world beyond that.
It's a tough path, and it depends on your relationship as well. With any loss, it depends on the relationship that you had yourself with that person. I went through all the pieces, thought about ending my life for the first couple of years. I have to say honestly, because that was part of it. I stayed here because of my girls. I could not do that and leave them without a mom or a dad. You open up to all kinds of things. When you're married and happy in a bubble, you're in the bubble of life, of everyday responsibilities, work, home, relationships, everything. And you don't realize the things that are there for you outside of the bubble. We did all kinds of things that were so different than when I was married. So it opens up the world to you, that there's other things that you can try, experience. That's what I found at the beginning as we were going along. I've always had this innate feeling of wanting to make a difference. And after my husband was killed, I felt a very strong, however busy I was with a job and three girls and everything else in the house, I was going to do something. So what I did is New Hope at the time for domestic violence moms and kids. I did that for 5 years volunteering, and I learned so much about myself as I was helping them. And that's what happened shortly after, because there was such a drive within me. I was going to do something. That was part of my journey of grief. I cried for 20 years. I went to the ocean many times and just cried and cried. I would leave work and they would allow me to leave work early because they knew I had to go to the ocean. So it was all of that. You become stronger. You become empowered to do the things that you need to do with your family and for yourself. it was extremely difficult living through it, being the mom and dad, making the decisions, not knowing certain things, and people that experience this realize you're left with a house, which is amazing, but you don't know all the ins and outs of what it needs. So it's an education at the time that you're grieving and you want to do the right thing, but you're not perfect. And but they came out, I have to say, my girls are the most amazing human beings. They all come from a place of love. They're making a difference in their own way. And they've taught their kids, my grandchildren, are all in that same realm of seeing the world in the full respect and what can we do about it and how fortunate and in gratitude we are to experience this. So it's a tough road though, Simran. You have an idea, but it is a tough road, but you can do it. And what comes out of it is that you're still your core, but you're the most empowered, tuned in to the world person.
Oh, I adore you, Deborah. I so appreciate your intimacy, your vulnerability, your sharing. That part about questioning whether you want to be here or not. I've been there too. Grief does that. Grief takes you to that place. And to truly feel it, to face grief whenever it wants to pop up, it does take years at times. I know that I've cried for 10 years, and there are moments where it seems like the tears will still leak out from time to time. So it is a very intimate experience, and there's really no one that can do anything. There's really nothing that can be done. It just has to be held. And so I truly appreciate you sharing that, because I do think we have to let individuals know that if they are going through that blinding dark time where the light only peeks through once in a while, it is normal to have some of those thoughts, that they will kind of creep in at time. And once again, we find what is outside of us more important than us that can help pull us forward. For you, it was your girls. For me, it was my boys. And then to step forward. And I love also how you illustrated the example of being in service and letting that service pull you forward, but being in service in a place where I'm sure it was as healing for you as you were for those women, that being able to revisit or witness others also assisted you in seeing the strength that you had to pull yourself out of that, to have the wisdom to share with them that life would be okay if they would give themselves a chance and depend on the strength within themselves. There's so many rich nuggets in what you've shared, and I just am in awe of you and your life and your strength and your beautiful heart of love that continued to shine through, that's just been a part of you all along.
I love your words. Yeah, there's so many nuggets presented to all of us every day. I think that one of the other pieces that is so important is listening. You know, when we're talking with each other, no matter where you are, whether you're in the workforce or at a football game, whatever it may be, if someone is talking with you, listen to their words, because I've found that every person that has words to say, there's something in there for me. And that would be each of us. And you're talking with someone about something else, and it might be all about them, but you're listening and there's words. And that kind of goes across everything when you're left to pick up the pieces and go forward in your life after a death or after devastation of any, and as we know, there's devastation everywhere, but we have that innate power that we can call upon. We have our higher self. And it's right there. We just have to notice it. So all these different little messages and support are there for us so we can move forward and choose the best path for us at that particular time.
The other example that you shared that was equally powerful is you gave space to yourself and to the grief when it was needed. And you were surrounded by people that would give you that space, because we are in a society that kind of tells you you've got to keep going. Or we
Mhm.
are in situations like you were with three girls that you had to help provide for and a household to take care of, that the mind would probably say, you can't stop. You've got to keep going. We've got to take care of ourselves. Those moments of pause, those moments at the ocean, the cry that needs to come out certain times, or sometimes the cry that can't come out because it's so deep, they're so necessary to be with.
The pauses are so important, no matter how crazy your life is. And nature, obviously, as we find out more and more, we're all interconnected with nature. We're part of it. We're part of nature. Nature is part of us. Every cell of our being, we're all part of this. We're like in this big soup, and we're all different vegetables. Anyway, but we're all together and we're all part of that. And this is why it's so important to call upon that, especially when you're needing a pause or going into a pause, to just be there and just let the tears and everything flow. It is so important to release that and not bottle it up. And in that pause is when you have the clarity. You receive clarity. Sometimes you don't have clarity. It's just a time where you need to pause and just let it all out. But then there are other times in that pausing space, in comes a direction, a message, some clarity on something that you needed to have, and you're able to move to the next step if you would like. You have to wallow in your stuff for a while. It might be a day, it might be 3 days, but I find myself, when I've needed to wallow, I wallow. I allow that to happen, and I'm not pushing or moving it out. I'm just being. And then what comes up is an energy that says, okay, it's time. And you feel, okay, I'm going forward to whatever it is that I need to do now. And again, it's really listening and taking that time to just be, do nothing but be.
That's such important advice, I think, with a lot of the conversations around trauma, about dysregulated nervous systems, around burnout, that the pause is one of the most healing pieces. And
Mhm.
beyond that place of grief, there have to be these moments where we consciously invite joy into our lives, invite dreams, invite love. Did you find that that became part of the process for you?
That's very good, Simon. Because of the love and the connection that you can receive from the universe, nature, and all, in that space of love comes the clarity, comes the ideas, because a lot of the things that I've experienced that I've started, like with the Kids for Love, really was a download. The message comes in clearly of what to do. That's when you need to act. And what I'm saying is, like with the business, I've had names, actual names come to me out of the blue when I'm first awakening, or something I needed to check, or something I needed to do and it wasn't done. It comes and then you act. Even going back to when I left at 21 years old, it was, you have to leave. And so it was like, okay, I have to do this.
As we move through life and we have these experiences, we mature in a way where when those messages come, we grab hold of them then, and we know to listen and to learn.
All of us are searching and asking every day until as long as we're here on earth. I don't think we're supposed to know everything, and that's the mystery of life.
It is the mystery. I think I was quite surprised in the most beautiful and joyful way when I found out that you began Dreamvisions at the same time that I began 1111.
Yes.
And so many things began at that time. It was as if there was this sprinkling that happened where all these visions just popped up that were truly so aligned with one another, yet very separate, unknown to one another. I know you have been a gift to many and a gift to the network, but what has the network gifted you personally?
Everyone that I have had on the station, our whole team, they're family to me. I fall in love with everyone for who they are. Everyone has their own unique personalities, and each one I love and adore of how they are bringing their purpose to life through our station. So that has filled my heart every day knowing that these people are doing their own work through the station. Without them, where would the station be? So I have much gratitude for each and every one of you. Simran's 1111 Talk Radio airs every Friday, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm just in gratitude of the buoyancy, the live consciousness that is going out vibration after vibration to the entire world, touching people's hearts, opening their hearts, having them make choices that are to the highest good, that are feeding the collective. That all of this I am in such gratitude for. So it's the relationships that I have had that I'm learning from each of them as well. And that's the beauty, I think, of radio. We learn so much about ourselves, whether we're the host or whether we're the guest. It's all the same. And it's still hard to believe it's 18 years now. Each one of them coming together and what we're putting out in the vibration of love, especially in the world we live today. Everyone needs to do something, even if it is helping someone in their neighborhood or being kind to the person that is checking you out at the store. All of those feed the collective of love consciousness. We're boots on the ground and we're raising the love consciousness so that it is more in balance with the latter. Divine feminine and divine masculine is coming together, not one that is rising before the other one. It's balancing the two. And naturally, as we know, women and feminine energy, we're the nurturers. We can see beyond what's in front of us. We have that innate ability to create. Look what we've done. With a seed, we create the human being. So we have that innate power to bring people together. See that people are, and yet it all comes back to each one of us knowing who we are and living from the truth of who we are. That to me is just all so powerful coming from every one of you that is part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
It is most definitely a beautiful community, a gorgeous selection of hosts and shows. It's a powerful way for an individual to gain greater self-awareness and self-acceptance. And so you have openings and availability for individuals who want to join your radio community, who want to have a radio show or a podcast, or even sponsor a show or a book, in some way be a part of the Dreamvisions 7 radio network. For someone that has been on the fence or has been thinking, I wish I could share my voice. I don't know what I'm doing. I would love to be a radio host, or I would love to interview people, or I'd love to discuss books, or whatever is kind of tickling their spirit a little bit. Talk a little bit about the process of speaking with you and creating a show and becoming part of such a beautiful community and network and sharing one's voice.
The voice is so powerful, and each one of us, it has a unique vibration. And I truly believe that when you have a show or a podcast, that people are attracted to that voice vibration and they can feel that it's tangible. And that's why they come back and listen to the messages that each individual has. We have all kinds of plans. We are fully producing radio station now. If people want to do pre-records, if they want to do live shows with videos, if they have a podcast, everyone has a podcast, but to actually have that connected to a radio station that's global, and all the shows are not only on Dream Vision 7, but they also are on like 55 different podcast directories. So you're still on the directories that you would have if you were a podcaster, but this is in addition. And so we're focused more on the listenership, and it's global. So it's an opportunity to go more global than your own podcast. You can still keep your podcast. It's just expanded at our station for those that may be wondering. We have exceptional benefits. We have a whole list of benefits. Sometimes I think we should send them out to all the people that have been with us for years so they have the opportunity to see. I'm involved in the sense where I'm talking, and when you're new, I am walking the path with you on how to have a successful show podcast. I'm interacting with everyone on a regular basis. I'm here to help if you have a question or a need for all the hosts.
To be part of a community, to be part of a radio network, to be able to have an individual that you know is there, and then another community of hosts that are also there with you, really does expand the experience to a whole other level. So I invite anyone, if you are contemplating having your own radio show or podcast, or wanting it to also stream through the global reach that Dreamvisions 7 radio network has, to definitely get in touch with Deborah Beauvais at dreamvisions7radio.com. Deborah, it has been such an honor to hear of your rich and powerful and wisdom-filled life, and to be your friend, to be your sister, to totally see the magnificence that you put out into the world and the love by which you connect hearts to hearts each and every day.
Well, thank you. I would like to thank you for the sister friendship that we have and all that you have done in your life in healing and helping others. It's an honor for me to be on 1111.
I invite you to go to dreamvisions7radio.com and spend some time. Explore the different shows, the opportunities that are there for you. And if you've been considering your own radio show for a while, I say take the leap and contact Deborah Beauvais, dreamvisions7radio.com. I want to mention my new trilogy. I hope that you will pick it up. It is titled Living the 7 Blessings of Human Experience, which goes into your personality, identity, and the part of you that you think is conscious but is actually walking unconscious in the world. The second book is Being, the 7 Illusions that Derail Personal Power, Purpose, and Peace. This goes into the illusions that we have gotten caught up in, like time, money, hierarchy, war, even identity, and you are allowed to go into places that rise you to a higher octave of being once you discover these low vibrational unconscious selves. And the third book is Knowing the 7 Human Expressions of Grace, ways that you can rise into giving yourself the graces that are required to open up to higher and higher grace. I invite you to pick that up and open it as oracles while you read any other books, and it definitely will support you in tapping into places that you may have deeply repressed or hidden away from yourself. So check that out. Thank you so much for spending time. Until next week, in love, of love, with love and as love, be well.
Thank you for opening your mind to a new reality, your heart to greater compassion, and your experience of aliveness with 1111 Talk Radio. Join host Simran next Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern Time to step through the gateway of conscious living. You are not on the journey. You are the journey.